Hello. I'm going to run through the Scotland training camp that I went to at the weekend. It was a really good camp to go to. It was a good chance for me to test some of my bigger numbers, some of the big lifts, because I'm in a stage of hypertrophy at the moment, so everything's a bit lighter, a bit more volume. So it was a good test for me to try and push things a bit more. I was sharing a platform with Tom Wright and Corey Duncan. So Tom is the 94 kilo lifter, very similar to me, so it was quite good going up and training with him, because it gives me a chance to push myself a little bit more. It's like that friendly competition, especially for someone like me who trains out of the garage. And then Corey Duncan is the 71 kilo lifter. He's a junior, so he's 18, and he's lifting some big weights for an 18-year-old, especially at 71 kilos. He's not going to European Champs, he's going to Junior Worlds instead, because he's good. But it was really good sharing a platform with him and sharing a platform with Tom. So we'll go through the snatches first. I started filming at 120 kilos. 120 kilos, reasonably comfortable. But for me, I was trying to work on the things that I've been lacking in, especially at the heavier weights. So moving my feet nicely, trying to make sure that when I'm lifting and I get heavier, I'm not trying to rush through things, being patient in the first pull and making sure I hit my extension. You see here, all three of us have slightly different lifting styles. Like Tom is very smooth, very controlled, lets the bar land on him a little bit heavier at times, but like it's consistent. Like that's what happens just every one of his lifts. And then Corey, really powerful and gets some incredible depth underneath the bar. So it's a 71 kilo lifter, snatching 125 just for fun. So we get to 130, this is the weights where it starts to get a bit fun. Tom knocks the camera over, so it misses my attempt at 130, unfortunately, but this is 135. So Tom missed it, first attempt, very close, nearly saved it. This is the heaviest I've gone since World Champs, so 135. I felt good all the way building up to it, got to 135 and moved really nicely. So I got some good depth underneath it as well, felt nice and smooth. In my head I wanted to push up a little bit higher, but Coach John said leave it there, save it for another day, which is what I did. Corey did have an attempt at 130, but the camera got knocked over, and it was a mint attempt. And then Tom went again and got 135 to match me in the end. So then we moved on to clean jerks in the afternoon. So we did all the snatches in the morning. I finished off with some snatch pull pauses at the knee, which I got some technique critique from Nikki about my feet angle, make sure my knees aren't going too far back and things like that. And that's like the useful bit for me at these camps, is getting a bit more technical feedback, not like massive changes, but stuff that I can implement at home quite easily. So for me, it's trying to point my toes out a little bit more in my start positions, making sure my knees aren't coming too back in my my first pull of my snatches. But clean and jerks in the afternoon, oh boy, was I not feeling ready for them when we started. So it was like we trained all morning, we did snatches all morning. That was probably like hour and a half session in total. And then the afternoon session was clean and jerks and squats. And so had lunch in between, got back into the gym, and like lunch was just sat nicely in my stomach, making me feel not so great in the bottom of the squat, at least to start off with. So it was very much a game of willpower and caffeine power to get me through this. So we built up in the weights quite quickly. We sort of took over Corey, because both me and Tom felt the same. We kind of wanted to get it not over and done with, but we wanted to get to those heavier weights a bit quicker. So we're already at 150 here, and it moved really nicely. Really happy with how the weights were feeling today. I found, because I've been practicing, well, I've been doing more hypertrophy work and not been pushing the weights quite as much, the heavier it gets, the more funky things start to come out. Not necessarily like bad funky things, it's just like the stuff that I'm working on, whilst it's a bit lighter, is being a bit more slow and controlled, and you can't have the same slow and controlledness when you're heavier. Like 160 kilos, you have to give it some. But I was really happy with how well I stood it up, how well I caught it, and the jerk. Let's have a gander. Like, it was a good jerk, just slightly forwards, and it seems to be the case that as I'm getting heavier in the jerks, they are starting to go slightly forwards. So I almost overcorrect, which you'll see that on my next attempt. Tom, also 160, making it look nice and solid. He's got nice short arms, making that jerk nice and comfy for him overhead. And then Corey, like I said, a little bit behind us, but again, he's a 71 kilo lifter, so both me and Tom are like 20 kilos heavier than him, pretty much. And he's keeping up with us pretty much the whole way, and smashes 150 kilos. Unfortunately, I don't know whether I'll get any of his later attempts, but we'll see. He tries to send some big ones. I think the last lift of this sort of session is on there. So he's 165. The clean felt really good. Really happy with how I stood it up. I was slightly forwards in my toes the whole way, but managed to save it. But then this jerk, whew, I overcorrected for the bar travelling slightly further forwards. So it was behind me quite a lot, and it just meant that I was absolutely battling to keep it overhead. And then Tom, nice controlled, boom, smashes it. Nice smooth, has a little bit of a wobble, so it makes me feel a bit better. And this is Corey, sending it at 155. So again, 71 kilo lifter, at 18 years old, blooming smashing it out of the park. Look at that, gets into the squat, doesn't quite make it. He did actually go up from there. I think he went 160 or 162. He's an absolute nutter. But yeah, it was a really good session, really good lifting, and it's always good fun doing these Scottish camps. They give me a chance to push a little bit more, get a little bit of technical feedback. It helps me feel like I'm making the right progress that I need to. So that was a 300 kilo total, so what I got at Worlds, but that was one of the easiest 300 kilo totals I've ever got. Especially considering I'd not been peaking for it. I'd not been trying to get my numbers up to that point. That was like middle of a very high volume phase where the weights aren't that high, and still managed to hit 300 kilos. So that gives me a bit of confidence that coming towards the end of the block of training that I'm in, hopefully I'll be able to push the weights a little bit more and hopefully head towards that 310 is kind of what I want by European champs. I'd really like 312. So that's sort of what we're aiming for by Europeans. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe, like, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.